Ô, Miotti, o que tá fazendo aí, cara?
Eu tô estudando, pô, pra entrevista.
Tá estudando? O gringo,
Entrevista
rapaz, eu tenho que entrevistar o gringo.
Rapaz, eu tô aqui, ó, 15 minutos que eles aprenderam que eu vou aprender inglês. Em 15 minutos. Eu vou estudar agora e eu vou aprender.
Você tá maluco,
rapidinho.
cara? Tem que falar com o gringo. Você já viu as perguntas que eu preparei?
Não.
Pois é, cara.
Então faz você, vou fazer essa porra.
Fala galera, beleza? Tô aqui na FINAC de Brasília, nós fomos convidados para sessão de autógrafos do Chris Taylor, que é o autor do Como Star Wars Conquistou o Universo, da editora Aleph. E aí nós fomos convidados pela FINAC para vir aqui para filmar como é que tá sendo aí a distribuição dos autógrafos e tudo. E aproveitamos, fizemos uma entrevista com ele, com o autor, cara. O cara é gente boa, falou um monte de coisa de Star Wars aí. Acompanha aí com a gente e que a força esteja com vocês.
Bom, o Chris, a gente trouxe ele para o Brasil para lançar esse livro, Como Star Wars Conquistou o Universo. O Chris é jornalista há 15 anos, um dos jornalistas e editores mais importantes dos Estados Unidos, editor da Mashable, uma das revistas de cultura pop, de tecnologia mais famosas da Califórnia. Ele veio para a Comic Con, a gente fez alguns painéis em outras livrarias, e esse é o último evento que a gente está fazendo. Chris, você pode contar um pouco para a gente os bastidores, como foi a ideia de... Eu já perguntei isso para ele outras vezes, a ideia de fazer o livro, né? Qual foi o ponto inicial para você decidir começar a escrever, se dedicar mais de 4 anos a uma pesquisa sobre a saga?
Hi, my name is Bruno. It's the first time in Brazil.
It is.
So, what do you think about Brazil? How do you like our country?
It's wild, and I mean that in the best sense. It's greeted me with open arms. The fans have been incredibly passionate. I arrived and was thrown straight into interviews and Comic-Con, and I barely had any time to catch my breath, but I've loved every minute of it.
You've been at Comic-Con experience. How was it?
Bigger and wilder than any other Comic-Con I've seen.
Really?
Yeah, I know it's just in its second year, but it's already rivaling San Diego, I think, for just the sheer amount of people that you see and the number of costumes and the enthusiasm that's on display. It was quite impressive.
Great. You're bringing to Brazil how Star Wars conquered the universe. Then could you answer me this question with a few words? How did Star Wars conquer the universe?
It took me 150,000 words to answer that question, but I'll give you one word, and that's fun.
Oh, yeah.
It was a movie that was fun at a time when not a lot of movies were fun, aimed at children and, inner children. In grown-ups at a time when most movies were sort of dark and gritty and morally ambiguous, and here was something that was very clear and bright, and so much thought had been put into the escapism of it that you really could escape to the galaxy far, far away because, the costumes looked right, because the ships looked like they would, everything was dirty and gritty and scuffed, and, so much effort had been put into the script, which went through so many iterations. So a lot of work behind the scenes to make something that was in front of the scenes very sort of frivolous and enjoyable.
Yeah, Star Wars is known for the great character that it has. What's your favorite Star Wars character?
I like them all, I have to say, but to be honest, the most intriguing character to me is R2-D2. And that's because not a lot of people know this, but George Lucas intended that all of the Star Wars movies were being told by R2-D2 100 years later. And that, to some great machine or the keeper of the Journal of the Wills, which is a really geeky Star Wars reference, if you know it. That, if you actually watch the 6 movies, you realize that R2 never has his memory wiped at the end of episode 3, so he's the only character who actually experiences all 6 movies and lives to tell the tale. And he's always right, he always knows to get out of a tricky situation. So, yeah, he's a fascinating character.
I like him too, a lot. Well, Force Awakens is coming to the theaters. What are your expectations about it?
My expectations are at 0. I'm just expecting them to play the trailer over and over. Expecting Jar Jar Binks to fill the screen. No, I'm trying to keep my expectations low because I was there for the first press screening in 1999, The Phantom Menace, and, I had my expectations high for that, so I don't want to do that again. No, I think it'll be great, and, I'm very happy that Lawrence Kasdan is on board. He's the best Star Wars screenwriter. He knows the franchise better than everyone, including George Lucas, I would argue. And J.J. Abrams gets it. The new characters seem great. Looks like they're not just sort of trying for a retread of the Han, Luke, and Leia. They're trying something new with Finn and Rey and Poe. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the chemistry works.
We all are, I think. I don't have to make this question, but I think I already know the answer. What's your least favorite character of Star Wars?
It's interesting. Everyone's obviously going to say Jar Jar, but I would actually argue that it's probably something more like a Jedi that wasn't really fleshed out enough, like maybe Mace Windu. I feel Samuel L. Jackson was wasted in that role, and he was made to look very kind of stupid, like a lot of the Jedi in the prequels. So not necessarily the character, but the way he was realized on the screen. It'd probably be someone like Mace or maybe Qui-Gon Jinn. Same problem.
Yeah. So I think you feel about the prequels. You feel bad about them, right? You don't. They didn't get it.
Well, I mean, so there's a whole chapter in the book where I learn how to love the prequels. Right. That's the title of the chapter. So it goes through the stages of grief. And, everything that was wrong with him, then it finally comes to the acceptance of the fact that this was George's vision. It was what he was trying to do with Star Wars in the first place. It's what he would have done if he'd had the budget and the technology. So I'm glad that he finally got that onto the screen because, that's all you want as a filmmaker, as a creative person, is to realize your vision precisely. And the prequel trilogy was George's vision. It was what he was trying to do all along. So, there it is. It's done. It's out of the way. Now we can move on to what our idea of Star Wars is, which is, I think, what we're going to see in Episode 7.
Yeah. What do you think about that George Lucas never leaves a film? He said the movies are abandoned. Yeah. What do you think about that? The idea of George Lucas coming back to the movies and remaking some stuff and the CGI with the CDI Jabba. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's awful. As a fan, as a viewer, I hate it, but I also understand why George does it. You look at his character and you understand that he's a guy who always likes to tinker with cars. He likes to tinker with movies. He's a perfectionist. He's a control freak. And he really believes that it is his right to come back and finish a movie, decades later. Yeah, because, he always said that the original Star Wars was about 25% of what he had in his mind at the time. So, for him, it's just the car in his garage that he keeps tinkering with and occasionally putting a new coat of paint on it. I think we can be grateful, though, that he's done. And the Blu-ray, edition is it. No more tinkering after that. And we have the despecialized edition, for what we want. And hopefully someday, Disney will be able to bring out a version of the original movie that is like the despecialized edition, where it is, it's perfectly, restored. The film is restored, and Han shoots first.
Will there be a new chapter for Force Awakens?
Yes, I hope so. It was always my intention with this book that it would be a definitive one-volume history of Star Wars. So I already added a chapter on The Force Awakens for the paperback in the US, which is in the Brazilian edition as well. Yes, obviously, when we get to the next edition, the next opportunity to put in new content, I would love to add an extra chapter on the response to The Force Awakens. You know, the marketing, but also the critical response, the fan response, because we're going to know, a week from now, how people feel about it. Generally, we're going to see which way the wind is blowing. And then, after that, I'd love to do a chapter on Rogue One and, the episode 8 and every movie going forward. And, maybe the book will double in size over the next couple of decades. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see how many opportunities I get to update it.
Great, I hope so. What's your favorite movie and why?
Like everyone else, it used to be Empire Strikes Back, right? That's the classic answer. Everyone likes Empire. It's darker. But writing this book gave me such an insight into the way that the original Star Wars movie was made. The fact that it was on such a tight budget, and he used every resource, every trick in the book to make what was essentially an independent film, an independent film budget, look magnificent. And he used so many editing tricks to do that, or rather, his wife and her team of editors used so many editing tricks to do that, that when you watch it, you just can't help but marvel at the miracle that Star Wars is, that it actually made it to screen and looked as spectacular as it looks.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And come to Brazil next time, too. Maybe with the second volume.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.